Let's talk about how to create a quiz for learning and training. And it's really important when we talk about quiz for training and learning. You can use it for an in-house perspective. You can use it for a commercial perspective. You have all kinds of training, all kinds of coaching, all kinds of possibilities here. So here are the steps I really want you to pay attention to. The first thing you want to do here is you want to define learning objectives. See, the whole thing is you want to clarify what you want learners to learn from the quiz. You want to identify the key concepts, skills, or knowledge areas you want to evaluate. This learning objectives will actually guide the creation of quiz questions that will serve as the foundational, the foundation, the fulcrum of your analysis when it comes to the learning objectives. Okay, and so number one, define learning objectives. Number two, you really have to select question types. So choose different question types that align with your learning objectives. Common question types include multiple choice, true, false, matching, fill in the blank, and short answer questions. Each question type serves a specific purpose in evaluating different aspects of learning. Remember, when we talk about question types, you need to really choose a question type that aligns with what your audience is accustomed to and what your audience is also expecting from the course. Certain audiences do really well with certain question types and others do not. So you have to know your audience and you have to know what really works in the industry. Remember, we are in an industry where folks in general, all over the world, have a short attention span. So you need to have question types that really take into consideration the short attention span, but also make the whole learning experience very user-friendly and engaging. 3, you want to create the questions. Write clear, concise, and relevant questions that directly relate to the learning objectives. You can use tools to create an online quiz to help you get started on questions. You need to verify that questions are not ambiguous and have a single correct answer for most question types. Use proper grammar and avoid jargon or overly complex language. Boss, I want to welcome you back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. Make yourself comfortable. You are going to enjoy today's conversation. Next, you want to craft answer choices. So the thing here is that this is where the whole thing becomes a little more interesting. For multiple choice questions, offer plausible distractors along with a correct answer. Distractors should be similar to the correct answer to make the question challenging, right? Because if the question is not challenging, folks will be very sort of bored, and you do not want to have a disengaged sort of audience. So for multiple choice questions, offer distractors, and for other question types such as the true and false or fill in the blank, make sure the given options are accurate. Accuracy is very important because you cannot really teach folks who trust you if you yourself are giving them the wrong information. The next thing you want to do is you want to set difficulty levels. So design questions that cater to specific difficulty levels depending on the audience's proficiency. Include easy, moderate, and challenging questions to accommodate learners with varying levels of expertise. The thing is that you got to really have this sort of diversity, because if the questions are too easy, quote unquote easy, you are going to lose your audience. If the questions are too complicated, you're going to lose them also. So it's one of those things where you have to actually strike the right balance, the happy medium between difficulty and potential for engagement. Very important, okay? And the next thing you want to do is you want to give clear instructions. So begin the quiz with clear instructions on how to answer the questions. Explain the format and any specific guidelines, such as time limits or resources trainees can use. And the thing is that, remember, when we talk about creating a quiz for training or learning in general, your target audience has, your members have expectations from the get-go. And when they come into this course, chances are, it's not a course, it's a quiz. When they come into the quiz, they have expectations from having taken quizzes in the past, expectations for having seen what kind of quizzes are available in the industry. And so they have expectations also regarding, let's say, vis-a-vis your brand. So when we talk about expectations, we're talking about stuff like the tone, how your brain talk, your brain conversational tone, and also the kind of audience you are dealing with. Are you dealing with young people or an older audience? Boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about how to create a quiz for training or learning. The next thing you want to do here is to organize the quiz. So when we talk about organization, we're talking about not only organizing them in terms of visual appeal, but also a theoretical appeal. What does that mean? It means that you need to organize the questions logically, considering the flow of topics and increasing difficulty if applicable. And you want to avoid placing questions of the same type consecutively because this can become monotonous for learners. You want to engage your audience. Very important. The next thing you want to do here is you need to do a pilot testing. I don't care how great you think your quiz is. If you don't test, you will have no idea what the public really thinks about your quizzes. Okay. So before officially using the quiz, have a small group of individuals representative of your intended audience take the quiz and deliver feedback. This helps identify any confusing or misleading questions and allows you to make the necessary adjustments. And you need to do that. You need to actually go through the tweaking process, the trial and error before actually rolling out the quiz to the larger population. The next thing you want to do here is you want to share feedback and explanations. So when we talk about basically after doing the pilot testing, folks will get back to you and you have to tweak things and get back to them. Include feedback for each question, regardless of whether the participant answered correctly and incorrectly, correctly or incorrectly. Explain why the correct answer is right and why the other options are incorrect. This promotes learning and better understanding of your training topics. Okay, this is really important because let's say you have a multiple choice. You have 4 questions, so you have one of them is accurate. The other 3 are not accurate. So if someone were to pick one of those 3 inaccurate answers, you need to explain to them why they got it wrong in the first place. This is what I mean by sharing feedback and explanations. That way, through the explanations, your learners can also acquire more tips, more skill set that will help them. The next thing you want to do here is to review and finalize. So when we talk about creating a quiz for training or online learning, you need to review the quiz for accuracy, consistency, and clarity, and guarantee that the content aligns with your learning objectives. Make any necessary revisions before finalizing the quiz. The next thing you want to do is to select the right delivery platform. So when we talk about online quizzes, you have all kinds of delivery platforms. This can be on an online marketplace such as Udemy, Udacity, Skillshare. It can be through an online learning platform such as Podia, such as Thinkific, such as so you have a lot of them. Learn Worlds. It can be through an LMS. So remember, when we talk about LMS, learning management system, it can be an online survey tool. It can be even a printed handout depending on your training context. Next, you need to monitor and evaluate. So when we talk about online courses in general, remember, after your learners take the quiz, review the results to gauge their understanding of the material, analyze the results to identify areas where they might need additional support or clarification. Remember that a well-constructed quiz not only evaluates learners' knowledge, but also enhances their learning experiences. And by following the step that I just gave you, the 12 that I just gave you, you can create an effective training quiz that promotes engagement and knowledge retention. The bottom line here is that even though those 12 steps are generic, you still need to do some tweaking depending on the industry you're in. Remember that your target audience might be different depending on the kind of geography you're covering or depending on the kind of topic you are covering. The most important element here is to go through the survey and ask questions about the topics that people are interested in, and just to deliver a quiz that is engagement and that's really engaging. Bottom line is, if you do your research and you spend a lot of time in it during the input phase, the output phase of the project could only be positive. Okay, it's all about it's all about what you invested in it. You will get what you invested in it. But also, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about how to create a quiz for training or learning. Here is a bonus for you. I want to really reward you for being still with me after 10 minutes. What are the benefits of getting a quiz builder for corporate training? The thing is that when we talk about creating a quiz for training or learning, you can actually use software to help you. So using a quiz builder for corporate training can offer several benefits to both trainers and employees. So here are some of the advantages. First of all, you have efficiency and consistency. Quiz builders allow trainers to create standardized assessments quickly and easily. This guarantees that all employees receive the same set of questions, maintaining consistency in evaluation. You also have time savings. This is another important element to keep in mind. So with a quiz builder, trainers can save time that would otherwise be spent manually creating and grading quizzes. This time can be redirected towards other essential training activities. You can also think about scalability. So corporate environments often require training for a large number of employees. So a quiz builder can handle scalability efficiently, allowing trainers to evaluate and train a broad audience simultaneously. This is especially if you are in a sector where, for a compliance reason, you need to really have a large audience take a training course. For instance, if you are, let's say, in the healthcare sector, and the authorities at the state level and the federal level want you to take a HIPAA compliance course, then you really need to make sure that all employees, whether you have 5 employees or 5,000 employees, all employees are able to take the course within the set deadline. Otherwise, there will be penalties and fees. So that's it for scalability. Also, you want to pay attention to instant feedback. So many quiz builders give instant feedback to learners. So this immediate feedback helps learners understand their strengths and weaknesses, allowing them to focus on areas that need improvement. And the thing is that you are adding, that's what we call adding value to your learners by actually giving them where they can improve their crafts. It's not about the whole thing is wrong. No, there are certain things that are right and certain things are wrong. Also, another element that could really make you think about using a quiz builder for your online training or course selection here is you have data collection and analysis. So what do I mean by this? Well, quiz builders typically collect and store data on your trainees' performance. Trainers can actually use this data to identify trends, knowledge gaps, and areas where additional training may be required, right? Because when you really think about it, course creation and course training and corporate training and corporate training is an ongoing sort of it's a movement that is totally ongoing, and so you want to have the right type of data to be able to tweak things as you go along. Remember that. And so you have to think about another element, another feature of a quiz builder is adaptive learning. So some quiz builders offer adaptive learning features. They adjust the difficulty of questions based on your team's previous responses, tailoring the training experience to individual needs. You also have to think about engagement. So well-designed quizzes can make the training process more engaging and interactive. That's what you want anyway. And gamification elements such as leaderboards or rewards can be integrated into the quizzes to motivate employees. And also another thing you need to pay attention to is compliance and certificates. So in regulated industries, quiz builders can help make sure that employees meet common, compliance requirements. And so they can generate certificates of completion for learners who pass the quizzes, delivering documentation of training. And so basically, if a company has to invest in a training process, basically they got to have proof. They got to have proof that they indeed did that. And if you are in a regulated industry, such as healthcare, for instance, or hazmat. If you're dealing with hazmat, then you want to really, if you have some OSHA sort of OSHA compliance courses, then you need to have proof that your employees have actually gone through those courses. Very important. And it's one of those things where those courses must be attended periodically, which means that there's a periodic need for that service, no matter what. Also, I want you to think about the fact that you have remote and the remote and mobile learning is another aspect that makes quiz builders really appealing, because quiz builders often support online and mobile learning, making it convenient for employees to access training materials and quizzes from anywhere, which is especially important for remote or distributed workforces. And this is kind of important if your team is distributed across multiple geographies, then you want to have that, you want to keep that in mind. Also, customization. So many quiz builders offer customization options, allowing trainers to align quizzes with specific training objectives and corporate branding. So this is kind of important. Think about security. Quiz builders can offer security features to protect sensitive training materials and data, guaranteeing that only authorized individuals can access the quizzes. That's really an important element to pay attention to. You also have to pay attention to continuous improvements. So trainers can use the data from quizzes to continually refine and improve training programs. They can identify which training modules or topics require updates based on learners' performance. You also have to think about the fact that if you go through a quiz builder, you have a very cost-effective process. In the long run, using a quiz builder can be cost-effective because it reduces the need for paper-based assessments, manual grading, and administrative overhead. This is really important to pay attention to that. And so when you think about all those features, and at the end of the day, scalability is one of the most important elements, because if you have a tool that is continuous, that has continuous improvement, cost-effective, security, customized, if you cannot scale, then you have a problem. Because see, the thing is that all economic activities are bound to grow, or at least that's what people want it to be. And if you do not have the tools to kind of help your activity that's scaling, then you're gonna have a problem, either a revenue loss, or you're gonna lose customers, you're gonna lose learners. This is why you need to have a tool that is scalable, that really can adapt to the volume of activity that you are bringing to the table. So if you have 5 learners, you want to have a tool that can work with you. But if you have 5,000 learners, you also want to have a tool that will work with you appropriately and help you actually boost your learning activity, your learning, your educational business. This is so important. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about how to create a quiz for training. So I gave you the steps you need to follow, and then I gave you the bonus that you need to also follow when it comes to generating the type of steps that you need to follow to make sure you are actually ahead of the game. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.